Hey everyone, welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're having good old Southern comfort food tonight. We're having fried chicken, mashed potatoes, llamas and corn, and homemade biscuits. So we're bringing you along for the ride as we indulge in this Southern comfort meal. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Leslie, and I would love for you to subscribe, hit that bell notification so you can just come along with all the rides we go on, no matter what it is, what I'm cooking, what I'm doing, whether it be farming, grocery shopping, cooking, you just come along on the ride with us. So be sure to hit subscribe, hit that bell notification, and be sure to share my videos and give them a thumbs up. So we'll be right back. We'll see you with this wonderful supper we're having.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air, yeah, the countryside is...
Okay, so if you watch my videos, I'm in the same outfit I was in yesterday for the chocolate chip cookies, but that's because it's the same day for me. So I am filming this supper. I still have a mess from my chocolate chip cookies to put away, but I wanted to do some prep work, and I've already done a little bit, so I wanted to show you what I've done and what I'm going to do. So let me get everything kind of out here so I can show you, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm cooking for the family tonight. That's something, since I've been dieting and losing weight, I have not done often anymore. So the whole family's coming over, and we're going to have fried chicken. So I like to do some prep work just so everything's not so crazy at the last minute. I've already made my tea. It's sitting on the stove. I just need to pour it up and add the sugar, and it'll be ready. Here, I have chicken breast that we've taken the skin off, and the big chicken, it's bone in, and the big chicken breast, we've taken the skin off, and I've just cut it right in half, right smack dab in the middle. And so that's going to, spread the pieces out, and they'll cook more evenly that way. So I've got some thighs in here, and I've got chicken breast, and I've got them soaking in buttermilk. Not a lot, just, it looks like a lot, but it's really not. So they are soaking in buttermilk and getting all wonderful. That's the best thing ever. I let it sit out to get to room temperature. I think it fries better when it's at room temperature. And I'm actually going to bread it about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour before I'm ready to fry it. So we'll start working on this pretty quickly. So let me set this aside, wash my hands, and I'll show you the rest. Okay, so here I've already sliced up almost 5 pounds of, it's probably 4 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes, and I've just covered them with water so they don't begin to turn brown. So they'll be ready, all but salt and being turned on to cook. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this on the stove and get it out of my way. It's ready to go. This is such a big help for me when I'm cooking for the family, the big family. It helps me make things go a little bit faster. And I can clean up in between. So after I show you all this, I'm going to clean up the kitchen, and then it'll be ready for me to make a mess with the chicken. But then that's all I'll have to worry about. Okay, so in this pot, I'm going to put in some frozen baby llamas. And I'm going to cover them with water, but you don't need to see that. I'm just going to cover them. And I'm going to put in a couple, 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter. I don't measure, I just take a big chunk. So we're going to put that in there, and I'm going to take some salt, and it'll probably need a little more salt. And I'm going to get these cooking because they're fresh, and they've been frozen fresh. So they need to cook to get soft. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these on now. I'm going to make my tea, move it out of the way, and clean up the kitchen, and then we'll be ready to cook supper and fry some good old chicken. Okay, y'all, so let me tell you, I meant to turn the dishwasher on earlier this morning so I could clean it out and it would be ready for a big supper's worth of dishes. I forgot to turn it on. So I've just turned it on now, hoping it'll be done by then. But one more thing I want to do to prep and get ready for the meal is I want to go ahead and measure out my Southern Biscuit Mix Formula L for my homemade biscuits. This is it. I know not all of you can find this, and I know it's not available everywhere. And if it's not, I'm so sorry. Because this is the easiest and most delicious way to make homemade biscuits. If you cannot get this, then be sure to go to my channel and look up my 2-ingredient biscuits, and also just homemade biscuits using self-rising flour. I have videos on all 3. I have a video on this. I have a video on just using self-rising flour and butter and lard and all that good stuff. And I have my 2-ingredient biscuit. So be sure to go look those up. I'll try to remember to link them down below so you can easily find them. My 2-ingredient biscuit video is actually kind of what put me on the map for my videos, my YouTube videos. So be sure to go check it out. They are super easy and so delicious. Especially if you can't get this. This is my favorite way to make biscuits just because it's so easy and it has everything in here for you. All you have to add is the buttermilk. It's so good. The recipe on the back is foolproof. Now I don't go by the recipe because I know the feel of a biscuit I want, but if you follow this recipe to a T, your biscuits are going to be amazing. So I'm just going to measure out a couple of, maybe 2.5, I don't know. I don't know how much I want to measure out, but I'm going to measure out some and get it ready to make biscuits after I bread my chicken, and they'll be sitting around kind of waiting because I like the dough on side my chicken, the flour to get kind of shaggy like. So that's what, while I'm waiting for it to get that way, we'll make our biscuits. But I'm going to go ahead and measure it out now. All right, everybody. I've got a jacket on because I'm freezing. But I've got my key to good fried chicken is self-rising flour. Always fry with self-rising flour. So I have, I don't know, a couple of cups in here of self-rising flour. And I've already seasoned it, but let me show you what I seasoned it with. And I didn't measure, but I would say a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of each, whatever you think. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, paprika, and I do the paprika just to give it that beautiful color, and ranch dressing mix. That is all I put in my breading, and it's delicious. So good, and I really don't measure, I just sprinkle. But, yeah, I really don't measure. So you do what you think, start light and then fry one up and taste it. And if you need to add more, add more. So, okay, I'm going to clean all this up. I have my Formula L measured out here. I've left out my Formula L just because when I roll it out and when I like to mix in some dry in there. So, I'm going to set this over here where I'm going to be frying, or where I'm going to set the chicken, and we'll start not frying, but we'll start breading this up in just a little bit. All right, everybody, I'm going to just start breading this chicken because I kind of want it to sit and hang out, and I just kind of drip the buttermilk. I try not to bring it, but you can see I've cut this breast in half. Like this is the pointy end and the thick end is somewhere in there. And I'm a hand user, so if you don't like getting your hands messy, I'm sorry. But I like to press it on there. I want to really get a lot on there, and I get the tips and I just keep pressing. And then I'm just going to set it down over here. I've got parchment laid out right here. All right. Here's another breast. We could have cut that little bone part off, but we didn't. Now, it was going to get, when people start getting here later, it's going to get wild, it's going to get crazy. I'm going to forget to film, so it's going to get weird. And so if by chance I forget to film, I'll get my grease hot. I'll take like a little piece of this wet stuff on my fingers, drop it in there, see if it sizzles. If it sizzles, I'll start frying, and I'm gonna fry each piece. I'm gonna put them as many as I can. I don't want to overcrowd the pan, but I want to get plenty in the pan. And so however many I get in there, I'm going to go 15 minutes at a time. We're kind of deep frying these. So I'm going to fill this pan up over here plenty full of oil, because we will be deep frying. And so we'll go for about 15 minutes each batch. So I don't know how many I'll fit. And my other frying pan is in the dishwasher, so hopefully it'll be out. If not, I've got cast iron. We will use that. This pan that I'm going to use tonight, my sweet friend Tammy over at Collar Valley Cooks, she sent it to me. I think she sent it to me back when I was having the health issues I was having. All right. So we've got breast and thighs in here. Breast meat and thighs. I'll probably taste this. What I'll do is I'll pull the best part off. I'll pull the breading off, and then I can have some. So we'll see. All right, guys, I'm just going to keep breading this, and we're just going to let it hang out here and let it get kind of wet looking. And that's what you want. So, all right, we'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, everybody, here is my chicken breaded, and it's just going to hang out right here until it's time to fry. So I'm going to let it sit right here for about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll get ready to start frying and see where it's getting that wet, shaggy looking dough. Those are going to be good crispy bits. So okay, we're going to work on going ahead and making our biscuits. Okay, y'all, so the lima beans have been cooking, and I wanted to taste to see if they're nice and soft enough. Yep, they're ready. So the only thing I'm going to do left to them is I'm just going to add a can of corn to them, because we like limas and corn together. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open this can and just throw it in there and let it remain on low, and it'll warm up nicely. I'm going to mix up my biscuits and getting ready to start frying chicken. Okay, everybody, we're going in with some buttermilk, and I'm just going to eyeball this, and I'll stir a little bit. See how it's getting damp, but we want all of it to be wet or moist or dampened. And it's okay if we add too much. Guess what? We can add some more of the formula ale or self-rising flour. You can just add in some self-rising flour to this. And I prefer to get my dough a little bit on the moist side while it's in the bowl. To me, it's just easier that way. All right. So I got a little bit of, and I just work it till all the dough is, I know that there's moisture throughout the dough. Does that make any sense at all? Now, when I make fried apple pies, which I'm going to do pretty soon for Jessica's birthday, she's requested that. I don't get my biscuit dough quite so moist or wet. I keep it a little bit on the drier side. Okay. Alright. So I've got this extra Formula L that I'm just kind of drying the outside edges with and working it in, and I'm just going to knead it just for a little bit. You don't want to overwork your biscuit dough or you'll have a tough biscuit. But you want to get it where it's if your mix is too wet, you definitely want to get it to a drier consistency. And the only way to do that is to add in some of that Formula L biscuit mix. All right, so I'm going to fold it a few times, and that'll give your biscuit some layers. I'm just going to fold it. Fold it. All right, so now I'm just going to pat it out into a thickness that I'm happy with. And I guess I would say I go about 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. That's about the thickness I like. Now I have my pan over here that I have already greased. While I poured my oil up for my chicken, I just poured some oil on my pan. I was keeping it simple. Otherwise, I would have buttered it. If you've followed me, you know that I tell you don't. It is so tempting to twist your biscuit cutter. Just go straight down and up. And if you have to run it in flour, that's fine. But don't twist. That seals the edges and keeps it from fluffing up. Okay, so now that we're over on our pan, the top of your biscuit, take the top and put it down first and then just flip it over. Give it a little bit of that oil topping. I don't always do this, but if I have plenty of oil on my sheet pan, I'll do it just to give a shine to my biscuit. And there's not oil. I mean, there's oil all over my pan, but there's not an excess of oil. So some of them won't look shiny at all. Now, also, if you want them to rise, you want to put them up next to each other. But if your goal is to have a crusty edge, then you want to separate them. So it depends on what kind of biscuit you're wanting. Are you wanting them to fluff up and rise, or do you want them to have like a little crust on them? I like the ones that have a crust on them for gravy. And we'll be making gravy tonight. But I like my biscuits to have, definitely have a crust on it when I'm going to be pouring gravy over it. And I just keep refocusing my dough, or reworking my dough, until I get all the biscuits cut out of here that I can get. In this last little bit, I'll just kind of roll into a biscuit. And there you go. There's my family's biscuits for tonight. I've got some of them up against each other and some of them separate. So I don't know who's going to want what kind of biscuit. So I'm doing both. Okay guys, I'm going to clean this up and then All that's left is to fry the chicken and mash the potatoes. Okay, y'all, so in my pan here, I have plenty of oil, and it takes a while for it to come to temperature. So you want to be sure to turn it on well in advance. And I want to get it plenty hot because once I start putting the chicken in, it will cool it down. And I think that's going to be great. And what you can do is take a little bit of this kind of moist flour, watch it sizzle like that. And so I'm going to start putting these chicken pieces in, and I'm just going to let it fall away from me. I'm going to use my hands, and I may have too much grease. I may have filled it too full. I believe I did. All right, let's go with one more. All right, I'm not going to go any more than that. I don't want the grease to spill out and let's have a grease fire. So we're going to stop here, and I'm going to let this cook for 15 minutes, and then we'll go in with our next batch. Okay, y'all, so I'm taking out the first batch. That middle one over there, it stays in. Now, don't put these on paper towel. It'll just get soggy. What helps them stay crisp is if you put them on a rack and just let them drip dry. So, okay, I'm going to put the rest of them in. This one stays in about 10 more minutes. Well, about 5 more minutes. Okay, I'll check the internal temperature, but I know we're good. So, I'm going in with the rest of the chicken. Okay, remember to, when you put it in, to let it fall away from you. I mean, you can use a fork or whatever if you need to, but I like using my fingers. And I'm just picking up any excess flour here. Just dropping it in. I'm going to try to get all these in. I'll actually just wait till this one comes out, and then I'll put that last one in. Don't want to overfill it. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, guys, we've put a whole stick of butter and a little bit of heavy whipping cream, and he's just beating it with a hand mixer.
The key thing is get all the water off of it.
Yep.
Get all the water off of it, because that way they're not too super runny. Let's try them. Need a little salt, a little pepper.
A little salt and pepper.
I'll be right back.
All right, guys, now I've just dipped out a little bit of the grease out of here. It's too hot for Bryant to pour out right now, so I've just dipped out some and put in, along with some good brown chicken bits, into this frying pan. So we're fixing to make gravy. I'm going to put equal parts. I'm going to hold it up and kind of say, okay, that looks like about 1/4 of a cup to 1/3 of a cup of oil. So that's what I'm going to do as far as flour. And then I'm going to cook it pretty heavily until I get all the flour taste out, and then I'll be adding milk, salt, and pepper. Okay, guys, I've added the flour in here with the grease and the little bits of fried chicken that I dipped out of our pan over there. I used that pan just because it could hold more chicken. So, okay, I'm going to let this cook just a little bit to get this flour taste out, and then we'll be adding some milk to it and making a milk chicken gravy deliciousness. Okay, we've added about 2 cups of milk, salt, and pepper, and now it is just starting to come together and thicken up. I love this whisk. Mary Mitchell sent me this whisk, and I love it.
What's it called?
A gravy whisk, I think.
Yeah, it's just a flat whisk.
It's a flat whisk, and I've never had one. And Miss Mary Mitchell sent me one, and I love it.
You know, that reminds me of when we started dating.
Why?
Because I whisked you away.
You whisked me right off my feet.
I did, didn't I?
I'm gonna need a little more milk.
Okay, here we go. Am I the milkman?
You the milkman.
Better that than the septic tank man.
There you go.
So here we go. Tell me when.
That's good.
That's good.
For now, anyway.
All right, so that's about 3 cups of milk, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and it all depends on how much flour you use.
Yeah.
That determines how thick it's going to be.
And I put plenty of flour, so we may have to thin it out some.
That's okay. Thin and thin. Repent and thin no more. Yeah. So, all right, Mom. What do you think? Coming together good?
We'll be ready in just a little bit. We'll pour it up. Okay, everybody, we're going to pour this gravy up.
How long did you whisk?
Look at that. I just whisked it till it was what the thickness I wanted. Yep, go ahead.
I don't know if I can film and
Film and scrape. So good.
Tell them why that's important to get that out there.
Oh yeah, well, it first makes it easy to clean, and that's where your good stuff is.
Yep. Well, and also too, it helps the gravy continue to set up.
Yeah, because that's where your flour and stuff
You know what?
is.
I'm not left-handed.
Okay, that's good. All right, we'll see y'all in the living room or dining room when we get ready to eat.
We're gonna eat living room.
No, dining room.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, here is our spread for supper tonight. We have homemade fried chicken, gravy, mashed potatoes, homemade biscuits or Formula L biscuits, and limas and corn, and sweet tea. And the cookies that you saw on yesterday's video are for dessert. So that's what we're having tonight for supper. Thank you guys for watching The Farm and Pastor's Wife. I'm so glad you're here. And remember,
Hey, you gonna give him a taste test?
oh, we gotta do a taste test. Don't go nowhere yet. We'll be right back.
Tell him, just wait, Jude. Levi. He's shy. All right, dear Lord, thank you for this food. Bless it to our bodies. Thank you. You want to see it? All right, go. Amen. Good job. Judah decided he wanted to say the blessing tonight. So you guys got a treat with that one there.
All right, so taste test time. All right, Isaac, go for the chicken.
Am I supposed to cut into it or just manhandle
Just
it?
manhandle it and bite it.
That's so juicy.
Juicy.
So juicy.
That's so juicy. That's delicious.
It's delicious.
And it's nice and crispy.
And the skin, what, Caroline?
The skin is the best part.
All right, Jess, what's your thoughts?
I've been waiting on this all day long. This melts right in your mouth.
Tell them it's the key to good crispy chicken.
Self-rising flour. And to batter it ahead of time and let it sit.
And you let it soak in what?
Buttermilk.
Right.
All right, Jamie, what do you think? Have you tasted it yet?
It was delicious.
It was delicious. We were asked, were you camera shy or just didn't talk a lot? I'll let you answer that.
On the spot.
A little of both.
A little of both.
A little both.
If you talk to him about football, he'll talk. Look, Bryant's gnawing the bones over there.
Oh, look.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching The Farm and Pastor's Wife. I appreciate you being here for our family dinner of fried chicken. We're just good old country folks eating fried chicken and mashed potatoes and biscuits and limas and corn. So, yep, down here on the farm. Brian, sit down on the farm. That's exactly where we're at. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Remember, if the grease is hot enough, you can fry anything. Bye, y'all.